Is it Caitlin? How you doing?
Hi, how are you?
I'm good. Let's see. Something weird is going on with my screen. Okay. Anyway, you might have a private session. Who knows? I'm a person I like to start on time. That's who I am. So I can end on time because I do have another place to be after this. And so I'm Cherry Bogard. A lot of times when if it's not me, Dr. Pam and I alternate Sunday groups. So sometimes you'll see me, sometimes you'll see her. But either way, you're going to get the material you need after this session is over. If not tonight, most definitely first thing in the morning, anything that was recorded here, you will have access to that along with the material that I go over. So I always tell people, I don't think I ever met you, but I'm the country coach from Memphis, Tennessee. I used to be a student of Dr. Pam. I'm licensed, now a licensed clinical social worker in Texas, Vermont, and Tennessee. I'm here in Memphis, and tonight we'll go over research. So there's a lot of interaction, whether it's you or four or five more people on this call. And then one of Dr. Pam rules is you have to keep your camera on and you cannot be driving if you are in your vehicle. So if I witness that, I have to kick you out the group and then you can always come back in. So I just like to put that disclaimer up top. Okay.
Okay. I'm
So,
in my car, but I am not driving. I'm
okay.
parked. This is
Okay.
privacy for me in my
I
car.
I get it.
Okay.
And so the other thing is, I do know just from I've been doing this for 3 years now with Dr. Pam. I don't require you to take notes while we're in session, but if that's what you want to do, you do it. But I know a lot of the students tell me that Dr. Pam um tell you all y'all cannot take notes while she's doing her class. So, other than that, we'll get started. And as other people join, I will let them in. Let me go ahead and pull up my session. So, where are you from while I'm pulling up everything?
Originally, I'm from South Carolina, but after high school, I'm here in New Jersey.
Oh, okay. And are you working on your license or master's?
I'm working on LSW.
Oh, yay. All right, then. We're ready for you to be an academic changer. What brought you to academic coaching?
I did it when I graduated in 2019, the end of 2019.
Mhm. Uh-oh. You're
So
you're going in and out.
you can hear me.
I can hear you now.
Okay. I finished in 19. I did Dr. Pam in 2021. I did a boot camp with her. I missed by 4 points.
Hmm.
I waited the I think it's 90 days. I went back and I missed it by 13 points, but and I haven't taken it since then. So
Okay.
now is life has been life, and I just finished my chemo in March. So life
Oh,
is life, and so I need to get it together because life is too short for shenanigans.
yes. And congratulations.
Thank you.
So everything is gone, cancer free.
Yeah, I'm waiting on it, but
Yay!
God is good.
Yes. Okay. Well, before we start research, I like to always start with just a little statement I want you to say out loud, and it's research is not hard. Research is not hard. Research is not hard. So it's your turn to say it.
Research is not hard. Research is not hard. Research is not hard.
It's not. It's one of our challenging things as social workers. I will also say myself, I didn't sign up I actually became a social worker thinking I was going to avoid math, and that didn't happen. So between statistics and my undergrad study was in sociology, so I really don't know what I was thinking. But what we'll do is, what I'll do is start with some questions. We'll do like two questions, then we'll alternate to some material. I
Okay.
will tell you, research when I'm teaching it, it's really just talking. There's another person here. Just 1 second. Gotta get everybody to turn their camera on. Natalie, can I get you to turn your camera on? So, research is me talking because research is one of the things on the exam where you truly, it's like math. Once you know it, you know it. So, this is the one thing I will say you can memorize. Uh, Natalie. Oh, okay. So, with that being said, we have our first question here. Let me blow it up a little bit. And you do not have to get it right. I just want us to go over this. So you can go ahead and read the first question. Miss Caitlin, you're on mute.
Sorry.
Okay.
Which of the following statements about a negatively skewed distribution is accurate? A is mean is higher than the mode and medium. B is mean and median are equal. C is mean is lower than the median and the mode. D is the mean and the mode are equal. Which of the following statements about a negatively skewed distribution is accurate? Um, First out of the gate, I'm not sure.
So let's just break down the question itself. When you hear the word negative and you think about math, is that on the left side or the right side?
It would be on the left side.
Because it's
Negative.
negative. And then when you hear the word skew, what do you think of?
Um, I want to say random. I'm not sure if that's right.
Okay, could be. I hear the word skewed. I'm thinking like something has been tampered with, the number,
Okay.
the vote in the election was skewed. And so that's and this is why I start with the question before I go into to let us know that a lot of us don't understand research. But when we're looking at these questions, even when we do research, a lot of times you don't recall, but when you're looking at the questions, the actual test date, what you want to do is to be able to read the question and at least break down the question itself to try to get to that through that process of elimination as best as you can. And so when it comes to this, it says, which of the following statement about a negatively skewed distribution is accurate? And the answer is C. And so it's the mean is lower. Remember, negative is on the left side, which is the lower side.
Mm-hmm.
And the mean is lower than the median and mode. And so the mode, remember, mode, median, mean, the mode is on top. And so to be negative, the mean pulls down all the other numbers. And
Okay.
median mode is something we actually learned. I think I started hearing about it in elementary, like sixth grade, and I really started paying attention to it a little bit more. So that was just something to as I got into junior high. That was just a question to get us started. Another thing I want to let me share this, and then we'll really, really get into the lesson. Um, I have to keep going back and forth between my screens. How you doing, Miss Natalie, while I'm pulling up the
Oh,
two screens?
I'm doing good. I took something that they gave me at the doctor's office, and it's just got my side in a woozy.
Oh, wow. I'm sorry to hear that. Just if you need to jump off and just know you'll get the material.
Okay. Oh, thank you.
Uh-huh. So, I want you all to understand some of the key takeaways from research will be understanding mean, median, and mode. which it tells a different story about the data. And then we'll talk about the bell curve, which a lot of people are like, oh my God, but we actually use the bell curve every day. And so skewness is something we just talked about, and it reveals if your data is pulling in one direction and if it affects a test. We're going to also talk about correlation. And if we don't get through all of these, then you'll have the material. But we'll also talk about correlation, which measures relationships but never implies causality. And then we'll talk about validity versus reliability, statistical tests, as well as type 1 and type 2. And we'll get into some p values and the effect size. Last, let's see. And like I said, so tonight is about research and statistics. Any questions, comments, or concerns before we get into this? Because we are about to buckle our seatbelt and start this drive. Let's see. So again, research is all about definitions. This is something you can memorize. You'll hear me say that. We will talk through this. If it's something you don't understand, it's okay because you will have access to this material later. This is something I will tell you after tonight. Try to set aside 3 hours on your own, 2 to 3 hours just to go over this. It's not heavy. It's just definitions. And that's why I say it's not hard. So again, we everything that I'm teaching is taught in tiers. So it's like once you learn this, it's going to play into the next thing. And then the next thing, those two things gonna play into the next thing. And those three things gonna play into the next thing. Did it make sense what I just said? So basically, the information I'm teaching you is in an orderly fashion. So let's talk about mean, median, and mode. uh it measures of the central tendency. And so what we have to understand, mean is the average number. It adds, so you add the numbers and then you divide them. And so an example of a mean would be if there are 10 students, after adding all of the numbers, you would divide by 10. And so that's how you're going to come up with that answer. The median is the middle. It put the numbers in order from lowest to highest, and then that number in the middle is the median. Now you got to understand this because again, it's going to tie into the next thing that we discuss. And then we talk about the mode. The mode is the number that appears more than once. So if you see a series of numbers and you have a number that is appearing 2 or 3 times, that's your mode. An example is if you have a distribution of scores, and distributions of scores is a research terminology, a group of which is a group of numbers. So please memorize distribution of scores is a group of numbers. So if you see two number 50s in that group of number or that series of numbers, then the mode is going to be 50. Any questions about mean, median, and mode? Okay. So, Natalie, there's a question on the screen, and Kaylin already answered a question. So I want you to read that and I'll give you the answer after you read it.
And what I'm seeing, I just see question, and it's got the value that occurs most frequently.
Mhm. Do you know the answer?
No, ma'am.
We just talked about it.
Oh, you're talking about the last one, which is the mode. If you
Okay.
see that, maybe 51, 51, 32, 111, or 100.
Mhm.
So the mode would be 51.
That's correct. So that is, does a question look that easy on the exam? It does not. Kaylin was like, no, it doesn't. But the concept is you got to just learn the material so that you can apply it. So, what is the mode, Kaylin?
The number that's frequent.
Yep, the frequent number. And what's that word we talked about? Distribution?
Distribution, I want to say score.
Yes. And what does it mean?
Distribution score is
There you go. It's on the screen. Uh-oh, we can't hear you.
The frequency of the
It's a
numbers.
group of numbers.
Group of,
A group of numbers. It's a group of numbers. Now the mode is going to be, how often you seeing that same number. Okay, perfect. So let's go to questions, comments, or concerns. Okay. So again, research, you're going to see a lot of things that's redundant because I want to make sure you all get it. And then there's going to be pictures in some instances so that you can be able to have a visual. But this is what the mean, median, and mode looks like again. Remember, mean is average. It's going to be, you're going to add up all your numbers. And so if there's, like in this case, you have 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and 10. And so those are six, a series of numbers, but it's a total of six. So you're going to add 2 plus 3 plus 4 plus 5 plus 6 plus 10. That's going to give you your answer, and you're going to divide that by 6. So it's going to be 30 divided by 6, and whatever that number is, that's your average number. That's your mean. Now, with your median, you're going to, it's the number directly in the middle. And so when we're doing research and stuff, we put numbers, we put them often in numerical order. So we're not going to have 1, 10, and 10, 2, and 13. We're going to typically have, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, whatever. So that number that's in the middle, like in this example that they gave, is 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13. So there's five numbers to the left of the number 8, and there's five numbers to the right of number 8. And so often it's an odd set of numbers. So the number in the middle is going to be your median. And in this case, it's the number 8. Um, Now the other example, because like I said, sometimes it's an odd number, and you got the five to the left, five to the right, and made 11 with every number in all. But in this case, you have even numbers, and so when there's a set of even numbers, the two numbers in the middle is going to be your median. And so if you see on this example, it's 1, 3, 5, 7, 9, and 11. It's a total of six numbers. So there's 5 and 7 makes two numbers to the left of 1 and 3. And then 5 and 7 makes two numbers to the left, the right of 9 and 11. Questions, comments, or concerns about when there's an even set of numbers and an odd set of numbers and how you get your median? Okay.
Mm-mm.
So the mode. We did a test question already. It's the number that occurs more frequently, more often. You'll see the word frequently, more often or often. And so, like in this case, it's three number fives, it's two number six, two number eights, where the number five is what's showing up the most. And so that's how you get your mode. And then a word that often doesn't show up on the exam, but something you should have knowledge of is range. And that's the difference between the lowest and the highest values. And so in this, it's ranging 3, 5, 4, 5, 6, 7, 12, 17, 23 is going in chronological order. And so the range is 23 minus 3 gives you 20. And so what it's doing is you're subtracting the last number from the first number. I'm not a math teacher, but this is something we learn, like I say, elementary, junior high. Now, what you have to understand is you must know about the mean, the median, and the mode. So it's the reason I went over there multiple times because this is how you're going to understand the 68, 95, 99 rule. So again, you have to know the what, Kaylin? Yeah. I know you're on mute, but I saw your lips moving.
sorry, the mean, mode, and median.
Uh-huh.
Oh,
Yes. So now we got to talk about the 68, 95, 99 rule. But before we go into that, here's a question. So, Caitlin, it's your turn.
which of the following statements are which of the following statements about a negatively skewed distribution is accurate? The mean is A is the mean is higher than the mode and the median. The mean and the median are equal. The mean is lower than the median and mode. The mean and the mode are equal. Which of the following statements about a negatively skewed distribution is accurate? So you said that the mean would be lower. A is higher. Mean is equal. They don't equal. And yeah, it's two that say equal, so it would be C.
Mm-hmm. You see how now it plays in, does
Mm,
it? Mm-hmm. Yep. And the answer is C. So remember, the mode is on top, and to be negative, the mean must pull the number down. So when we start talking about the curve bell, that's when we start talking about the 68, the 95, the 99 rule. And so on the curve, the distribution on that curve bell, and the curve bell is just like that. It's 68 on the left, 95 in the middle, and 99 on the right. And then the one test 95 can show up as 96. And so those are positive numbers, and we'll get into that in a minute. But before we get into that, Natalie, we have a question. I will let you read it.
Okay. The level of measurement, which assumes that the number of the scale represent the same quantities throughout the scale, is interval, ratio, ordinal, nominal. Nominal. I'll be honest with you. I ain't looked at this, so I don't know.
It's okay. What is a ratio? Because that's a word we use all the time, or we often use.
This is a word that means comparing two items.
How do you use ratio, Kaylin?
when I hear ratio, I would think, or either in school or in a hospital, like you have one teacher to two students.
Hmm.
Okay.
Yeah. So, what is ordinal, Natalie?
It's the way the numbers are falling.
Hmm. And so,
Order.
what is nominal, Kaylin?
Nominal, I would say numerical.
Mhm.
I would say, or like, I don't want to say normal, but nominal. I think of numbers.
It is. That's correct. So now we're getting somewhere. The thing is, what I want you all to understand again is even if you don't understand it, go ahead and start processing what you do know. And so intervals is how we do things in time range. So the
Hmm.
level of measurement, which assumes that the numbers of the scale represent the same quantities throughout the scale. What do y'all think it is? Kaylin, what do you think? Just you can take a hypothetical guess.
Repeat your question. I'm sorry.
Mhm.
The,
The,
for
the
the
one on
question.
the one on the screen, the level of measurement, which assumes that the number of the scale represents the same quantities throughout the scale is what?
Ratio.
So you saying ratio, Natalie? What are you saying,
Yeah.
Caitlin?
I'm in between. I'm actually in between three things because we are talking about numbers, and then they said the same quantities, which is
Mhm,
order for me, and
mhm.
then measure scale represents throughout. The word throughout is giving me interval, so I'm all over the place right now.
Okay. So on the real exam, how many answers can you give, Caitlin?
One.
One. So of the three, take away two. Uh-oh, I think Caitlin froze. Caitlin, are you
Okay.
with us?
Yes.
Okay. What would be your answer?
Water.
You know, you lose on a real exam, you're losing a lot of time on this one question.
Yeah, that was one of my issues.
Yeah. So you're gonna have to go ahead and pick one. Just
Mhm.
guess.
I'm gonna say C.
See. Okay. And so our answer is A.
Okay.
And we can just go back and look at it real fast. Interval. And you when you was processing. So remember, intervals has to do with that time. But remember, we're practicing, we're getting this information. So I did that for a reason. So now we're about to get real heavy into everything. So let's talk about this bell curve. I'm giving you all an easy explanation as best as I can give it. So number one, think of the bell curve like a smooth hill. You know, a hill, you go up and you go, but we're gonna say it's a smooth hill. And most people in the bell curve, because when we're talking about the bell curve, we're talking about people. And so most people are in the middle of the bell curve. So most people are where on the bell curve?
In the middle.
In the middle. Fewer people are on the very low side, and fewer people are on the very high side. Now, when it says low, low can also be considered as negative. When it says high, high can also be considered as positive. That's something we learn, and I never did well in math, but that's something we all learn. So you when you look at test scores or heights or anything about how people are being measured, most kids or people would somewhat be in the where?
In the middle.
In the middle. And only a few would be super low and super high. So that example I just gave is shaped like a curve bell. And so that's why it's called a curve bell. The curve bell shows where most people are because, again, the curve bell is focusing on people. And then in there, we throw in words like standard deviation. This is a term you need to be familiar with. And it shows how far people are from the middle. And so anything in the left and anything far left that green and far right that green, that's showing the furthest standard deviation because they're further away from the middle, which is the pink, than the purple people are. Make sense? So now this curve bell is the 68, 95, 99 rule. And so again, it's going to be repetitive what I say, but the most or the majority of the people in the world is 2/3. So those are the people in the middle. Those the pink people. And then when we talked about earlier, the mean, the median, the mode, in this case, when it's related to the curve bell, we're referring to the central tendency. But you still got to know what mean, median, and mode is, which we talked about. So most people in the middle, when the mean, mode, and median are all the same numbers. So that's when you receive a perfect curve. The number is secured. Now, this is where all this math comes in at. So that 68.27, this is how we got it. You got the 34 plus 34.13. That's below the mean. That's the average number of the pink to the left. And then you have the 34.13 above the mean. Remember, we talked about the mean, and that's the average number for the pink to the right. And so 34.13 plus 34.14 is 68.26, which is that number, the 68. So the first number on the curve bell or standard deviation is the 68. And then the way questions, comments, or concerns, because really it's just following and being able to understand, like, where did that number come from? Does it really make sense right now? Okay. So we got the first number of the curve bell, which is the 68. This is the 68 right here. It's 68.27, 26. Now you're going to add the blue, which is 13.59 from the left, because everything on the left is what, Caitlin?
Negative or low.
Uh-huh. So we're going to add the negative 13.59, the blue on the left, to the 13.59 on the right. Natalie, what is everything on the right of the curve bell? It's the opposite of what Caitlin said.
Help me out.
What did Caitlin just say? She said everything on the left is what?
Negative or low.
So everything on the right is what, Natalie? It's the opposite of what she just said.
High, positive or high.
Okay, there you go. So when we add the 13.5 from the left and the 13.5 from the right, we're going to get 27.8. And now we got to add the 27.8, which is the blue, to the 68.26, which is the pink. Remember, we already got that number, and that's going to give us 95.44, which is the middle number of the curve bell.
I have a
So do you all
question.
see how we're getting the numbers? So I'm sorry, somebody said something.
Yeah, I just had a
Mhm.
question. How many of these questions are going to be on our master level test?
For the master, maybe two. For the
Okay, I'm listening.
clinical, it could be up to 10.
Okay, I'm listening.
Mm-hmm. But Nelly, it's still we, even though it's not on the master's level test, we are still doing a lot of research in day-to-day world. So it's
Yes.
just one of those things we have to know.
Yeah.
Yeah. Because remember, everything we should be using with our clients is evidence-based practice material. And the way we get evidence-based practice material is by conducting research.
Okay.
Yeah. So now we've added those two to get the middle number of the curve bell, which is the 95.4445. And so now we got to add the green. So initially you start in the middle, then you go out to the blue, and now have to add the green. And the green is 2.14 on the left plus 2.14 on the right. And that's going to give us 4.28. And so you add the 4.28 to that 95 that we got above, which is those two numbers, the pink and the blue that we added together. And this is going to be 95.44, which is the last number on the curve bell. And now we have 99.72. And I'll go back and show you how it looks on the curve bell. So that's how we got our numbers. Yeah, researchers it can make you yarn. Questions, comments, or concerns? Anything so far? Because we're about to keep rolling. So, did you understand how we got those numbers?
I'm just following along. It's
Okay.
just I really probably have to read it first,
Okay.
But it's
Okay.
still good to know and listen to.
Mm-hmm. Now we have to add, then we'll add, this group is called the outliners, and they aren't really on the curve. And people like, why we got to add something that's on the curve? Don't ask me that. I'm just telling you what the folks said we have to do. And so the outliners are the 0.13%. That's a number that's off the curve bell on the left, because we're going to always have to add the number from the left and the right together. And then we have the number on the right of the curve bell that's off, the outliners, and that's 0.13. And those two together gives us 0.26 is the outliners. So we have to add the 0.26 to the 99.72, and this gives us a perfect Bell score of 99.98, which we all know the 9 after the point, we round it up and it's 100. So no, all the numbers to the left of the Bell is negative, and all the numbers to or low, and all the numbers to the right of the Bell, it'd be the bell curve are positive or high. So negative, left, low, positive, right, high. So most people in the world are what, Natalie? What color are they?
Pink.
Pink. Yep. So now let's talk about when people are not the same number or the percentage. So when you don't have that same number, the percentage, that's considered as a skew. Now, this is still, we still got to reflect on the mode, the median, and the mean, and that's when it's not the same number. So when they're not the same number, it's a skew distribution. And this means that people went in a whole nother different direction. You know, they voted for the wrong president or whatever the case may be. It's a skew number. And so numbers that are not the same are is a skew distribution. Okay. Caitlin, numbers that are not the same is what?
Skewed distribution.
Numbers that are not the same is what, Natalie?
A skew distribution.
Okay. So we're gonna go back to this curve bell again, bell curve or whatever. In the pink, the highest spot is when we're all together. That's the majority of the people in the world. So something you should know is a right skew distribution has a long right tail. The
Mhm.
right skew distribution is also called positive skew distribution because everything on the right is positive or high. And it's
Okay.
also because there's a long tail in the positive direction of the number line. And so the mean is also to the right of that peak. And what is the mean again?
Average.
The average number. And so remember, you get your average number by adding all the numbers together. And if it's six numbers, you're going to add all six and you're going to divide by six, and that's how you get your mean. So the mean is to the right. So the mean is going to be positive because it's to the right. And this is just to give you a visual of how the skew look. The left skew is negative. That means it's going on the left side. And then the right skew is positive. It's going on the right side. High. All righty. Questions, comments, or concerns? Who had the last question? Or who answered the last question?
I think we both did it, but this is this. You know, it's the same question coming up, or
Mhm.
yeah.
So I'm gonna give it to Natalie this time.
Okay, which of the following statements about a negatively skewed distribution is accurate? A, the mean is higher than the mode and median. The mean and the median are equal. The mean is lower than the median and the mode, and the mean and mode are equal. So I'm gonna the left skew side is negative. Which of the following statements about a negative skew distribution is accurate? Left. So I'm going to look for the left. Something on the left. I would go with C. The mean is lower than the median and mode.
So is it starting to make sense now that we're kind of repeating it again? Okay. So this lets you know anything to the left or lower is negative. And so the answer was right there the whole time, even if you didn't understand. But you had to understand what negative and skewed and all that stuff was. Okay. All right. That was the correct answer to Natalie. And believe it or not, Natalie, we have done that question now 3 or 4 times. It's either 3 or 4 times. So A negative skew, that was, we talked about a negative skew. Remember, I want you to remember the mode will always be at the top of the curve bell. What is the mode?
The number that appears more than over distribution of the scores. The number that appears more than
Mm-hmm.
once.
Okay. And so the mode is going to always be at the top of the curve bell because that number appears more than once. The mean is going to always be in charge. So just think about the mean is the mean guy. You know, the mean people are always, we always feel like they the people that's in charge. And so where the mean number is will determine which way the skew goes. So if the mean is on the right, which way is the skew going to go? To the right. So an example would be 50 students in a classroom, five scored 40, which is the mode. And remember, the mode is on top of the curve bell. The mean is the average number of the class. It's 32 that fail, and the number 32 is lower than the mode. So if the mode is lower than the 32 is lower than the mode, it pulled the curve bell down. So that went to the left or to the right, Natalie. It lowered the mode. So is that the left or the right, Natalie?
Oh, it's gonna be to the left.
Because it pulled the curve bell down. Absolutely.
Okay.
So what I need you to understand is the mean is always in charge. It's the mean guy. It would determine which way the skew goes. The mode is on top, and then the median follows the mean. So remember, the median gonna follow the mean, which the mean guy, everybody follows the mean guy because they scared of him or her. So let's look at this another way. When we talk about a positive skew, the mode is always at the top of the curve bell because the number appears more than once. The mean is always in charge because the mean guy is always in charge. And where the mean number is will determine which way the skew goes. Now, the other example was helping us understand that the skew went to the left. In this case, you got 50 students in a classroom, five scored a 40. So the mode is at the top. The mean is the average number of the class, and that's 70. That's a high grade. So the 70 is higher than the mode. So it pulled the curve up. So Caitlin, what side is this on? The left or the right?
The right,
The
positive.
right. Mm-hmm. Natalie, you look like your head hurt.
Hmm.
It's not hard. And I'm telling you, I'm breaking it down in third grade term. So we talked about standard deviation earlier. All of us have taken a master course. Is that correct? Okay. So we talked about this and we did research in our graduate program.
The
And so
last thing.
yeah. I'm like, why you didn't give this to me earlier? We actually did statistics and research. So
Mm-hmm.
standard deviation is something we talked about. You might not remember it because you just did what you needed to do to pass that exam to get out of that, that program. But standard deviation is something we talked about, and it's often SD and it's in that italic like type thing. But this value describes the variability within the distribution of scores. Caitlin, what is distribution of scores?
A group of numbers.
A group of numbers. And so we use the symbol SD to specify the standard deviation of the sample. So when we talk about the population's variability, we use the symbol like that O, which is a sigma symbol. So standard deviation, it is essential, the mean of the deviations. And it's how something deviates. It's an excellent measure of the dispersion of scores. So now that I've talked to y'all in Latin, I'm going to talk to you in English the way I really understand it as well. So we just talked about hey Gloria, turn on your camera. We just talked about standard deviation, and it's also known, aka, as the sigma sign or the italic SD. So when we're looking at oh, you got to be freaking kidding me. Just 1 second. Okay. So when we're looking at standard deviation, we're going back to the curve bell. Natalie, like, really? I thought we was done with the curve bell. We're going back to the curve bell. But remember, we got the 68 by adding 34 plus 34. So if you never can remember how we got that 68 in the standard deviation, just divide the number 68 by 2. And then we added the 68 to the 13.5, which was the blue to the left of the curve bell and the blue to the right of the curve bell is 13.5 and 13.5. So that 68 plus 13.5 plus 13.5 gave us the 95. And then we took the 68, the 13.5 and the 13.5 that gave us 95, and we added it to the 2 on the left plus the 2 of the right, which is that far green on the curve bell. They gave us a perfect score of 99. And that's how we get the 68, 95, 99 rule. Y'all don't know how long I had to, not this, but when I first had to start teaching research, I taught it to my dog, my kids, my boyfriend, to be able to break it down. So, but do you now understand how to get the numbers on the curve bell? Remember, the number in the pink, the number in the middle is pink, and that's the majority of the people. Everything that goes far out, it starts tethering down. Just 1 second, you all. Okay. So, and that's the shape of the curve bell. Again, 68, 95, 99 rule. Now, I want to clarify some stuff for visual people. Like, well, she's saying 68, 95, 99, but then it's saying 68.27, 95.45, 99.73. Please don't make this hard. It's the 68, 95.99 rule, okay? But occasionally you will see 68.2, 95.45, 99.73. So now let's start talking about correlation. Do anybody know what correlation means? Caitlin played it smart. You can just go ahead and read it out loud.
It's the relationship between two or more variables slash things.
Variables is the same thing as two or more things. We're looking at the correlation. Anybody ever watched what's that show where the man does the reveal the paternity results?
Maury?
Maury. What do he always say when he revealed the results? There's a correlation.
Oh.
And so correlation is how we come up with what is alike. What is the relationship? What does the DNA say? The DNA says it's 99.9% your child. That is the correlation. It gets no better. So if it's 99.9% your child, Gloria, is it your child? It's your child. Yep. So correlation is a terminology you should know. Gloria, read the question right there. No, that says number 21.
Number 21, there I see. Oh, there it is. Uh, mutual relation. Hold on, I gotta make it bigger. A mutual relation, a pattern of variation between two phenomena in which change is one is associated with change in the other.
What is the answer, Gloria?
Hmm?
What's the answer?
Correlation.
Correlation. So I made this easy for you all tonight. This again, it's not going to show up on the exam like this. But we always say it's the reading test. And what I add to it is you got to be able to comprehend when you read. If you can't comprehend, you can't read, and therefore you will not pass this exam. And so, even though we don't like statistics or research, which we should, or we should start liking it a little bit, these are you just got to know terminology. So, in essence, correlation is the relationship between two or more variables. Now, words that you would see on the exam is mutual relationship, a pattern of variations between two phenomenals. This is where it becomes important when I say you need to learn how to talk like a social worker. And when you learn how to talk like a social worker, then it really does start making sense with research and statistics. So the answer is correlation. Anybody want to discuss this before we move on? No questions. Okay. Oh, Lord Jesus. A perfect correlation is what I was about to talk about, and then my thing decided just to keep rolling. So, fact, a perfect correlation is 100%. 99.9 is 100%. Please don't try to argue with me. That's math. It is what it is. You can move the decimal to the left or to the right. To the left is negative, to the right is positive. To the left could be said as low, to the right could be said as high. So those are words we use interchangeably when we're talking about the left and right, negative or positive. You move the decimal, if you move the decimal, you can move the decimal one negative or one to the right, one to the left negative, one to the right positive. And so when you move the decimal 100, or it's going to be negative 100 or positive 100. It gets no better than 100. I mean, yeah, you can get 110, but trust me, that's because the teacher gave you 10 extra questions. But the perfect score is 100. 99.999 is 100. That's a perfect score. So, reality is, even though you can get 110 because you was given 10 extra questions, the highest score is 100. So, again, the example DNS test readings, the result says the child is 99.9% your child that is your child. Questions, comments, or concerns? That also means when it says 99.9% or 100%, there was a correlation taken to see if the DNA matched. So when we use the word correlation, we have learned correlation means it is trying to identify if multiple things in a group match. You can put a lion, you can put two lions and a tiger in a group, and they spots can look the same, but the tiger ain't a match to the lions, to the two lions. Did it just make sense what I said? Because I just made that up on the spot. But I think y'all get it. So the second example is the ACT. Everybody know what the ACT is? Because if you don't, that means you shouldn't be where you are. I was about to say, because we all had to take the ACT. That's an instrument, a tool we use in order to go to college. Or you took an SAT. I just can't remember which one. I don't think I was that smart back then. I think I took the ACT. They said the ACT is for the people that ain't real smart. The SAT is for okay. Anyway, but that's also an instrument too, and it's used to see how well one would do in college. So the assumption is if you score high on your ACT or you score high on your SAT, there's a relationship between the two instruments. There's a correlation between them. What's the correlation, Gloria? Uh-oh. I think Gloria busy. So what's the correlation, Kaylin?
The correlation would be both are instruments and both will give you a insight on whether you would do good in college or not.
There you go. Natalie, did it make sense?
Yeah, but they not always accurate.
Don't, Don't ask anything else now. We just
That's
want to stick
right.
on
That's
this
right. That's
so
right.
that it would not mess you up. But I get where you're going with that. But yeah, I get it. I got my score and just kept going. I said, thank God I got in college. That's all that mattered. But we
Mm,
want to make sure we understand that when we're looking at these, when we're talking about correlation, it can be in relationship to an instrument, and it can be in relation. It's an instrument period, just trying to see what makes these two things look alike, or what makes all of these things in this group look alike, or like they said, one of these things just don't belong. So it's helping us identify what belongs and what does not belong, or what has a strong match to it. I often think there's not a correlation between me and my siblings, but according to
mhm.
my parents, it is. So let's talk about correlation coefficient. This is when using qualitative data, which focuses on relationships between two or more items, and it tells nothing about cause and effects. But the focus is the degree of how things are related again. So now we know what correlation is, and we're bringing in the word coefficient. And so coefficient is a number that tells how closely the items are related. So correlation is saying there's a match. And the coefficient is saying, man, these are really, really related. They're first cousins versus fifth cousins. So that's what the word coefficient mean. Again, research is about learning definitions. Any questions about the two words we just talked about? Now let's talk about qualitative data. Qualitative data deals with feelings. And remember, when we're talking with our clients, we assess their feelings. It deals with words, image, objects. It describes the nature of things. We ask open-ended questions so we can get open-ended responses. We're doing an interview. We're assessing. We are doing an observation. So when we ask our clients questions, we want to see, are they going to start shaking when they answer the question? We also get opinions when we're doing qualitative data. I know everybody don't like other people's opinions, but the reality is they said we all have one. It's like a butthole. So small groups are randomly selected a lot of times when we're doing qualitative data. These are things that you need to know about qualitative data. Anything did not make sense that's on here. So also what you need to know about qualitative data is when you're looking at relationships, there are two or more things related. Now let's go to quantitative. Uh-oh. I don't know why these keep doing it. Okay. Quantitative. So when we talk about quantitative is numbers, statistics. It's information. Example, she has three small spots on her arm. It's telling you the amount of spots she has on her arm. She has two eyes on her face. She got one nose, two nostrils, one lip, y'all set of lips, two braids in her hair. So, and with quantitative, it's more of a large group that's randomly selected. Gloria, what does random mean?
Random means without any plan, just picking people for no particular reason.
There you go. So, in both qualitative and quantitative, we random select people. However, in qualitative, it's small. In quantitative, it's large. And also with quantitative, there is a cause and effect. Cause is this caused this to happen, the cause and effect. Your cause for being here is because you didn't pass your exam or you don't understand the material on the exam. So there's a cause. I tell my kids here all the time, for every cause, there's an effect. So you go out there and do something, there's an effect. So that's what quantitative is. And quantitative is like surveys. I give you a question, you give me an answer. I give you some medicine, I give you the GLP-1. What do you expect to see? What are the GLP-1s doing?
Is that the lose weight?
You expect to lose weight. So I give you the cause, the GLP-1, the effect is to start losing weight. And so, we survey that. How do we survey that? We get you on a scale every week. We get you to put on the same pair of jeans that cause you to say, I need to lose weight. You put those on every Friday to see if they falling off a little bit. So no, when doing research or doing assessments, you cannot accept anything below a 0.70. That's a C. That's how we feel about this exam when we take it. A 0.70 is the lowest number to be taken. This is something we know in high school. Now, the numbers have changed a little bit, but you remember your teachers used to say you have to make a C or higher. If you make anything below a C, it was considered as not passing. And so when we're doing research, the 0.70 is the lowest number to be taken. It doesn't matter if it's a negative or a positive. If you move the decimal over and the perfect correlation is a 100, you cannot make anything less than a C because a C is a 70 because you cannot accept anything less than a C. I said the same thing three different ways. Did you all understand what you cannot make? What's the lowest score you can make, Gloria?
70. Let's
Lowest
see.
score you can make, Natalie?
70.
What's the lowest score you can make, Caitlin?
0.70, a C.
Mm-hmm. And so this is very important to remember in research. I worked in a hospital that did research, so I had to know this stuff. Anything less than that 0.70 tells, it should be telling you that there's not enough correlation to prove it's a match. And also it's not a passing score. So we're going to talk about the definition of Pearson. Have y'all familiar with that word? Who had to go to the Pearson Test Center? Uh-huh. Yeah, what's the correlation? And people never paid attention. Like, where did the Pearson? Pearson is a testing center where everybody goes and take their test. Okay. So okay, I just had to throw that in there. Uh-oh, somebody's asking me a question. Um, who asked the question? If you know you asked the question. It's if you ask the question, I can't get okay. Here it is in the chat. Gloria, did you say something?
Oh,
Oh, you
I
having
sent you a
lunch?
message.
Okay,
Yeah, I'm out. So if there's lots of noise, I just,
okay.
yeah,
Thank you.
sure.
So when it comes to the Pearson product, that's a moment of correlation, and the Pearson R. So the R equals 100 because that's a perfect correlation. Again, if you remember when I first started this session earlier, I said everything that I'm teaching you stacks. So we're not going out of order. So that's why everything's like, why is it so repetition? Because it stacks. And so the definition when it comes to the instruments, remember we use the word instruments, we're looking for validity. And so Gloria answer last. Okay. I think yeah. So now it's who answered? Gloria, Natalie did a question. Okay, Caitlin, this is your question.
Okay. In social research, the concept concerned with the extent to which a procedure is able to measure the quality it is intended to measure,
What do you think it's intended to measure?
whether it's valid, so validity.
Oh, look at you, girl. I heard you got some in that answer. And it is validity. Did you all understand the question? Anybody did not understand the question? So when you're looking again, this is not how it looks on the exam, but when it comes
Mhm.
to an instrument of validity, so in social validity in social research or valid in social research, it's just the concept concerned with the extent to which a procedure is able to measure the quality. When you buy something, a lot of times you want quantity and you want quality. And
Mm-hmm.
so you want to make sure the quality is intended to measure. You know, when you buy your sheets, I know somebody, I didn't know nothing about sheets until after college. That's sad to say, but people's like, you got 200 count threads. And I was like, girl, ain't nothing wrong with that. But baby, when I got that higher count thread, I was like, wait a minute. What was I missing? My mom and my daddy cheated me out of sheets. And so that's the quality of something. And if you look at the higher the quality the sheets are,
Yeah.
what is it? What is there? There's a what difference?
It's
It's a
a
difference.
A price difference. It's most definitely
yeah.
is. You try to give me some 200 count sheets now, I might say some harsh words to you, but that's what quality is. So when it comes to as we're talking about with validity, there's accuracy. Validity asks, is the answer valid? Yes. A thousand count sheets is way better than a 200 count sheets. So is it accurate? When I compare the two, it's accurate. When I wash them, they don't shred in the washing machine, they don't shrink in the dryer. This is the reason something or research is conducted. We're comparing it to, like, every day they comparing the Ozempic to, they keep comparing them. Which one is better? Which one is valid? Which one helps you lose weight more? So this is the most important thing in research is validity. Is it valid? Is what it's saying it's going to do, what it's going to deliver, is that valid? Is it truly giving it? Does the refrigerator do what it says it's going to do? Is that GLP-1 doing what it says it's going to do? Do the refrigerator do the GE keeps the food cooler compared to the Kenmore? So if it's keeping the food cool and it's preserving it, if it does not keep the food preserved, then it's not valid. If you taking that GLP-1 trizapatide or whatever, it's so many of them, and you gaining weight and not losing weight, well, that thing ain't valid. It's not doing what it said it was going to do. And that's when you need to call these manufacturers back and ask them for your money. They're not going to give it back to you either, just letting you know. But validity is more important than reliability. Reliability. Now let's talk about, anybody have any questions before we go on? I try to make this fun for y'all. No questions. Okay. So reliability is consistent. But remember, validity is more important than reliability. Consistent is if the refrigerator daily is not keeping your food preserved or cool, then it's not valid. And so there is no consistency there. And therefore, it's not reliable.
So
So this is.
I have a question.
Mhm.
So I can say that validity would be, I have to look at it like if it's something that's reliable.
If it's So validity is it's doing what it's supposed to do. Now, is it
Okay, doing what it's
reliable?
supposed to be doing. Okay.
Reliable is consistency. Is it doing it is it reliable? Is it doing this? Are you studying every day? Are you reliable? Do you study every day after you meet with Dr. Pam and I?
Yeah.
So that's that consistency component. Now, the thing of validity is, do you feel like you're learning more after you do Dr. Pam and I deliver on what we say we're going to deliver on? That's saying, is it valid? Is the information they give me valid? When I go look at it somewhere else, is it really true? And when I do a test question the way they said do it, did I get the answer correct? So
Got
then it's
it.
valid. Okie dokie. So now we're going to go to a picture of reliable but not valid, valid but not reliable, and valid and reliable. So we really want stuff to be the last one. Because remember, the first one is it's reliable but it's not valid. So look where the arrow's at. It's on the outside. But the second one is it's valid but not reliable. And so we want more so valid, more so than reliable, but we really love for something to be valid and reliable. And that's hitting it dead on the target, which is the last one. Questions, comments, or concerns? So when you study, are you reliable and valid? Which one of these targets are you when you studying? You gotta don't answer that out loud. Don't answer that out loud. Okay. Now we're gonna talk about face validity. It's like, wow, why do we have to know all this? So the definition of face validity is it's in your face. You see, do you get what you see? It's right there in your face. So, the example, you arrive at the testing site, Pearson testing site, and the screen says nursing test exam, or the screen says social worker test exam. Are you getting the right there? It says ASWB exam. That's face validity. You are getting the test that they told you were going to get, you know. Now if it says social work, if it says nursing and you going in there for social worker, you better go back out there and tell them people, hey, y'all gave me the wrong test. So, if it says nursing, you will not take that test because you don't see social work on that screen. So that's what face validity is. What I see, is it what I really see? I really see that this refrigerator is keeping my food cold. It's preserving my food. I really see that this GLP-1 is making me lose weight. Make sense? It's right there in your face. So note, something that can be reliable, something can be reliable but not valid. And I just showed you all that on that picture. So if you tell the child, if your child, I'm sorry, if your child tells you about him getting in trouble at school, you probably are thinking he is telling you, you're trying to think, is he telling you the truth or is he telling you a lie? But you want it to be valid either way. You want him to come and say, hey, I'm getting in trouble at school because of blah, blah, because I'm not paying attention to the teacher, or I'm getting in trouble at school because I'm messing with another kid, or I'm getting in trouble because I think I got a case of ADHD, or whatever it may be. But reminder, a test can be reliable. Reliable is occurring over and over and over again, but not valid, which is accurate. So these are terms we have to know. We have to know that valid can mean accurate. We have to know that reliable can mean over and over, or reliable can mean consistent. You got to build your vocabulary. And a lot of times it's crazy because we use these words, but then I say, what does consistent mean? We be like, oh, I know, but I don't know. So reliable tests um, sometimes are not valid. Valid tests are reliable. Did that make sense? A valid test is reliable. And the reason a valid test is reliable because we know it's doing what it's doing and it's being consistent at what it's doing. Everybody still with me? Okay. So let's talk about concurrent validity. We know what validity is, we know what valid is. So concurrent is using one instrument to measure two different things. So the example would be there's a student taking a science test, and the instrument is also grading him for English. Make sense? So he's taking the test that the instrument is a concurrent validity, but it's used to score him on two different things. Who test does that sound like? Y'all know when y'all do the social work exam, they have questions in there that is scoring to see how to use in the future. Did y'all know that? So
Those are the ones that they don't count.
those are the ones that they do not count. Absolutely. So they're using it to create another test and to see how the majority of the people are going to answer the questions. Yep. That tool is measured. So when we're talking about concurrent validity, that tool is measuring two different things concurrently at the same time. So the thing that's being implemented when we take our exam is getting our test score, but also getting test scores for the future, creating a test for the future. So the results of the test are compared with the other test results or behavior, which behavior, the interchangeable word is criteria, at or about the same time. The question would be during both test measures, what are they looking for in both areas? And of course, for the social workers, they're looking for how do the majority of the social workers answer the test. And that goes back to our board, our ASWB board, did a research to identify, it gave real scores that Black women do not, Black and minority, other minority women have low score, low passing rates compared to Caucasian women when it comes to this exam. And so the research was done because a lot of African American and other minorities started complaining, like, why do my white counterparts pass the exam at a higher rate than us? And that's what happened. And so, again, just giving you that piece, research showed those numbers. So, this is to let you know that research is really important. So now let's talk about the two types of tests. We have a power-based test and we have a speed-based test. A power-based test, an example would be a social work exam, or our social work exam is power-based. You are given enough time to take the exam. They even break it up in two sessions because we started complaining about, oh, we don't have enough, we don't get breaks. So they heard us and they broke it up into two parts now. And so, with the power base, one must give all of your energy to power through the exam. If you ever taken this social work exam and was scared to get up and take a break because the clock was still rolling, that was the power base. And so there's no time limits or given enough time to match the test that's being taken. You was like, I know all the 13 times I took it, I was scared to breathe. I was like, I better hold my breath. I don't want to go to the bathroom. So that's power based. You're using all of your energy. And then people will be, social workers will be exhausted at the end of the exam because they're like, man, I was scared to move. Questions about power based. So speed based is timed. It's based on speed and accuracy. It measures, it's measuring intelligence, ability, and aptitude. Excuse me. An example would be a typing test. And the word typing might be old now. But a job often measures, and if you ever now, I don't know if you all applied recently for a job online. um they now insert several questions, and what the system is doing is seeing how long it's taking you to type your response. And so if your score isn't what they want it to be, you kind of get kicked out of the going to the next process or the next stage. So a typing test is an example of a speed test. And you know, the job often measure how fast a person can type when he or she applies for certain positions. So now let's talk about standardized versus non-standardized assessments. And again, this is something we should have learned a long time ago, but I'm just refreshing you. Standards Standardized assessment methods is administrated, you get a score, and it's interpreted in identical fashion for all exams or examinees. The purpose is to allow the educators to compare students from different schools, states, and other places. So, this again, a standardized test is the SAT, the GRE, the ITBS, the CATS, the Praxis. These are the exams we take in order to get in college. There's even a test you have to take before you even enter into elementary school, before you go into pre-K. And so the standardized tests or assessment methods is they're typically made by teachers for classroom use. The purpose is to determine the extent to which subject matter is being taught and how it's being learned. So that's when your teachers implement something to see if little Johnny and if little Mary is really getting the information that they're teaching. Questions, comments, or concerns? The definition of standardized, and y'all, I can't say these words because half of my tongue don't work. It really, I have a damaged tongue, but it's the same process. There are rules, and the instruments are administrated in a formal structure procedure, and the scoring is specified. I don't know about your states, but here in Tennessee, our third graders have to take a test before they could be made all A's and B's all year long. But they have to take this test, and if they don't pass this exam, this standardized exam, they don't get to go to fourth grade. Do they do that in y'all states?
Yeah, they have tests that they have to take to go to the next grade, and
Hmm.
they get in trouble because well, in Georgia, some people was cheating and teaching the test. That happened here.
Yeah, because that affect the teacher's scores too. And so the instruments are they're administrated in a formal structure procedure and the scoring is specified. And a formal way is when you take your social work exam at the Pearson Center. Anyone who is testing will be treated the same way. So the same structure is being used. You're gonna walk in, you're gonna put your stuff in that locker, you're gonna you're gonna scan all your fingers, you're gonna take a picture, you're gonna walk through they're gonna pat you down, they're gonna walk you to your seat. So that's what it is. It's standard for everybody. And then when we talk about the non-standardized, it's not a formal way. There are no formal or routine instructions for administrative or for the scoring. It may be surveys, checklists, rating scales, which is all qualitative methods. And then they all will not answer the same way. Little Jimmy may not answer the same way as Mary because this is something that the teacher put together. And she might say, so little Jimmy, did you like this, sir? Did you like this test? And he might bubble number three, and Mary might bubble number five. So when we talk about intelligence tests, now we're getting ready to go into tests and inventories. And the first thing is intelligent tests. These are things we use, and y'all probably like, okay, research. It is research. But these are also when we're on a clinical level, we implement these tests with our clients. Or either it has been implemented by a psychiatrist and they send the test results over to the licensed clinical social worker. And so when it comes to a intelligent test, you have Stanford Binet, and from this is the person from Paris. He's from Paris, but they said the Americans stole his stuff. But this is the WAIS 4, which is the Welsers Adult Intelligence Scale. And this is one of the instruments we use to test our clients' levels of intelligence. Now, the WAIS 4 is for people 16 and up, and the WISC stands for children. It's for 2 to 3 years of age up to 15 and 11 months after their third birthday. So basically, three and a half, 4. Average intelligence is 100, and there is a standard deviation. Y'all remember we talked about standard deviation of 9. And so when we look at this, there is a mean, excuse me, mean if the score is between 89 to 109, that's the average IQ. They do still incorporate IQ tests because this is contingent on your level of thinking, how you comprehend stuff, and this also deals with, is a person, this implements formal and concrete thinking. Everybody know
I
what
have a
formal
question. In the not the with the ways, um, is the IQ included in that?
in the width, the waist, that's
Mm-hmm.
our intelligence test, and yes,
Oh,
that is
okay.
how we
But
get our.
so why does it say seven? Okay, so 70 would be not between the mean, not the average.
Mhm. So the average intelligence is 100.
Okay.
And then when it comes to the mean, if the score is between 89 through 109, you still have an average IQ.
Okay.
But the normal average is 100. Now, I will tell you, some people intelligence is over 100, but we really just count 100. So the majority of us on the call should be between 89 to 109. Some of us are higher thinkers, and that's what I mean. So the part you missed earlier is the perfect score is 100, but you can go over 100. It's just that anything after 100, it doesn't matter, but it counts. Does it make sense what I just said? So, like, if your teacher give you an exam, you're gonna make a 100. The highest score you can make is a 100. But sometimes you get extra points. So yeah, you could make 110 if you got the extra 10 correct. But what really counts is 100.
Okay. It's kind of like the test. Doesn't matter
Hmm.
if you get 117, 104,
It's
as
just
long as
what
you get.
they're asking for at that moment. That's what you have to get.
Got
Yep.
it.
Yep. Okay. So when you all look at this, these are the IQ scores again, like what I just said, because I don't want you to say she didn't give me the right information. You can score above 100, and that means that you're very gifted, but only 2.1% of people score above 100. If you're 121 through 121, you're gifted. If you 111 through 120, you're above average intelligence. If you're 90 to 110, you're average intelligence. If you're 80 to 89, you're below average intelligence. And if you're 70 to 79, you're considered as impaired. Questions, comments, or concerns? Okay. I will tell you culture does play culture and race can sometimes play a part of your level of intelligence and also your the year you were born. Not all the time, but in some instances. So an IQ of 70 to 79, normally those kids do not attend school, but they do have to be given an option to have a teacher to come out to their home. So if you ever become a school-based social worker or you're working in the school, or if you're working with a client and they have a child that's considered as profound disabled, let them know that that child has a right for someone from the school system to come to their house and provide. And all they do is read a book to them or hold their hand. But did you all know that? Yeah. So everybody has a right to education. Gifted students are 121 through 130. And those are people that I can't stand because they think they know everything. Um, Now we have the ASVAB, and that measures aptitude, and it's called the ability test. And it excuse me. Let me scoot my screen back. Screen acting crazy. It measures the effects of general learning and is used to predict future performance. Who uses the ASVAB? Anybody know who used ASVAB? Don't nobody know.
I want to say military, but I don't think
There
that's
you go. It is. Yes, you have to pass the ASVAB test in order to join the military. So the GRE and the GMAT is also an aptitude test. It predicts how well we'll do in school. This is something we use to, again, enter into school. So it's also considered as an achievement test. The assumption is if you do well on the test, that you would do well in school. And then these are tests we should be familiar with because, again, we are serving kids and we are serving people, and we have to be able to give our clients resources and educate them. And then we have personality tests. I'm not going to go into all these, but the personality test consists of 16 personality questions, thematic appreciation test, TET, the Rorschach test, the basic personality inventory. Those are all personality tests. Achievement tests, we just went over some. Aptitude test is the Likert scale. You'll see that on the exam. The aptitude test is abstract reasoning, visual reasoning. The emotional intelligence test consists of emotional and social competence inventory. The intelligence test is what we talked about, the Welcher. You have the Welcher C, remember, is for children. The neuropsychological test, this is how the Beck depression is one of those, the anxiety inventory. A lot of times we're using this more so than anything with our clients. Projective test is the Rocher ink blot. And who came up with this? Who? Yeah, we talk about him all the time. His name starts with the S. I mean the F.
Freud.
Yep. And then we have our observation direct test, and it's just direct observation. Now, one of the tests that, sorry, y'all, my allergies. The definition of the MMPI. Well, let me stop and ask any questions so far. Are you learning anything? Okay. Natalie, you still with me?
Yes, I am.
Okay. So the MMPI, this looks at the level of personality differences. It's trying to see how crazy we are. There's 567 questions. They're yes or no, and you're trying to see if a person will lie. Trust me, we all have taken this test at some point. It looks at the deviance. So what it's doing is it's used when screening police, it's used in companies to see if workers are a good fit. They want to know. A bank does this all the time. So if you ever apply for a banker job, they want to know if you're going to come in there and try to steal their money, or if you're going to try to walk out the bank. And so they ask questions to see how you answer them. And then the crazy thing is, you answer the same question different ways. At some point, you start saying, "Did I answer this question already?" And then they have it set up where you can't even go back to see if you answered that question. You have to just keep going forward. Caitlin, I see you shaking your head. You've done one before. A lot of our jobs, even our jobs, make us do them. And because applications aren't paper anymore, there's more. I'm starting to see more MMPIs show up before you get to the next level to interview. So the test measure hypochondriac. I can't say it. A illness disorder. It's when we hypo. We always think something going on with us. We think we always sick. It measures depression, hysteria, which is body response to stress, psychopathy, deviance, which is antisocial behaviors. It measures masculinity and femininity to determine if we can go into the military. And even though with the LBGTQ stuff, there's still, you still have to go through this because they have to make sure you, the reality is our bodies are made different. A male body opposed to a female body is made different. So you have to be able to make sure a person is fit to do certain jobs. It measures paranoia, a person is paranoid, OCD, schizophrenia. Questions, comments, or concerns. So the next thing is the Myers-Briggs. Think about Michael Myers. It's 16 personality questions. It's used in marriage and family counseling. It allows one to see that the others have a different viewpoint. And so this is basically how it looks. And again, you incorporate it in a family and marriage counseling. It's a tool you can use for that. So, True Personality is by one of our founders, Carl Jung. And so he talks about all of this. I'm not going to go through it, but when you get this, he talks about the outward and the inward functions. How do you prefer to make decisions? How do you prefer to take in information? And this is something that you can use to assess maybe why some things are going on in your life. But how do you prefer to live your outer life? I wouldn't suggest you really do it on yourself, but you can, and then seek with a professional to review your results. Anybody familiar with the ink block?
I heard about it. Can you go over it a little bit?
Mm-hmm. And so that's the Roche ink block. And so I'm gonna show you a picture in a minute, but I also want you to understand the appreciation test. And this looks at a photo and it gives the person's perception. And so, even with the ink block, you look at a picture and you give your perception of that picture. So, with the appreciation test, you're going to project your unconscious onto the picture. And again, this is Freud's work. And back in the day when he used to do it, he would tell you you would say, "Oh, I see a butterfly," and he'd be like, "Nope, you're crazy. That's a bee." And so that's how he did it. But that's not how it's supposed to be done. But that's how he did it. And so this is the Roche ink block test. And so what you see, I might not see. So what do you see right here, Natalie?
Um, Two wolves looking in a different direction, or or a water
Okay.
and the shadow of the water.
Gloria, what do you see?
I see like a mask, like with the ears, with like evil mask.
And Caitlin, what do you see?
I agree with her, like a mask or maybe an animal with ears.
And Freud would come back and say, "Y'all crazy. That's a bat." So, but this is what it is. You're projecting your thoughts. And a lot of people, I never saw a mask until y'all just said it. And I have taught this class a million times. But that's what I'm saying. So, you project, and a lot of times your answer is going to be contingent on what's going on in your life at the moment and where you are mentally.
Mm-hmm.
Because now I see a cat right there. But anyway, let's keep going. So that's the Roche ink block test. So again, Freud to come back and tell you what the photo really meant. The definition, grade, and age equivalent scores. This means that the child should be on a grade level. Example, a child is 8 and reading at a 10th grade level. This is how we determine if kids or if we are dyslexic or we have a diagnosis of dyslexia. And so this is where you hear teachers say, your child is in the 12th grade, but he reads at an 8th grade level. Now, in the 12th grade, they should not be saying that. They should have caught that a little earlier, but it does happen. And parents be
Mhm.
ready to rah, rah, rah. My child can read and blah, blah, blah. And then that child grow up and start having problems. But these is grade wise, and this is something also like if you are, I don't know if you're familiar, but there's a cutoff. Like if school starts in August, a child's supposed to be 5 before, I think it's 7 to 10 days before school starts. And if they're not 5, now I got lucky. So I always be saying I graduated a year early. It's just somehow back in the day they wasn't catching it and I kind of slid on up in there. But so sometimes you'll say a person is 7. How was they 17 when they graduated from high school? It's because they slid in that cutoff date. Because and it really does make a difference. If you ever worked in a school, and I used to be a substitute teacher, and I would be like, yeah, this kid should not be here. And I mean, they turned 5 days after school started, but it makes a big difference, especially in boys. Questions, comments, or concerns so far? Because we have about 15 minutes, I believe. So I want to do an assessment right now. Natalie, just in 1 minute, what have you learned so far?
Well, I learned about the curve and the means, median, yeah, the bell curve.
Tell me a little bit more about the bell curve or one thing.
It's a big smooth hill, and the one in the pink is the neutral.
The neutral what? Let's use correct terms.
It's the majority.
The majority. Okay. Gloria, what have you gotten so far?
Um, for me, it's a lot of reviewing, which is helpful, especially when we were talking about validity and correlation. I think sometimes they're so different, but at the same time, it's like a way of putting it into perspective, and for me to just remember the difference.
So
So
what
that
is
was helpful.
validity, Gloria?
What is validity?
Mhm.
Validity is something that it does what it's supposed to do.
That's what it's supposed to do. Okay, thank you. Kaylin, what have you gotten so far?
I would agree. A good review on mode medium. Um,
Is it me or did Kaylin break up? Can y'all hear Kaylin? Kaylin, I think you broke up on me. Look like you froze. I think you were saying mode, median, and uh-uh. Okay, you're back now. You froze for a second, Kaylin.
Oh, okay. I'm sorry. So a review on mode, medium, mean. How to read the bell curve, or how we can apply it to um different things that we do within social work
Mhm.
is research. If we have to basically do it.
Yep.
How with validity or valid, it would also, I think, apply to how the outcome is if we can get the same outcome
Mhm.
um, multiple times, or yeah, multiple
Yep.
times.
There you go. All right. Okay, we getting somewhere then. So quantitative research. We have qualitative and we have quantitative. We're going to start with quantitative first. The definition is it's a true experiment. Must have a hypothesis. Remember when you had to write that research paper, you had to have a hypothesis before you start. You gotta have it before you start anything. It's dealing with an experimental group. So that means this is the group that's going to get the product. They're going to get the drug. They're going to get whatever. You're doing the experiment on them. The hypothesis is to see if this GLP-1 is going to, or this Majero is going to help people lose weight. And then you have a control group. They receive the placebo. The placebo is the word you would use is a fake pill, a sugar pill. It ain't real. You giving them something, but it ain't real. And so the participants are randomized, which means they have an equal chance to either get the placebo or to get the real drug. And so they're placed in either group A or group B. And in the end, it's compared to see which one is working. And it's funny when the people that get the placebo be like, I lost weight. And you be like, oh, okay. You had the fake medicine. So again, this is a picture right here to show you what quantitative research look like compared to qualitative. And so quantity is numbers, quality is data in words. Quantitative is also accuracy and precision. It studies the behavior, which is the action. Quantitative follows scientific methods. It has deductive testing. It's consisting. It consists of fixed research design. Reliability and validity is in quantity. Quantitative research, there's detailed documentation and statistical analysis. Whereas for qualitative, it develops theories, it studies meaning and experiences. It has real life context. It includes the participant perspective. It's flexible in its design. There's values and emotions. Values is a big word that we use in social work. There's a personal connection, and it's a small scale study. And you have this. The last few things on quantity is generalized findings, objectives, and neutral, whereas on qualitative is natural settings, and it's a small scale. And that's by it was cited. So here, um, we did that. So now we can talk about quasi experiment because this is something that shows up on the test. It's not randomized and it's unethical. An example is someone with depression. A doctor cannot give medication without the client knowing what he or she is receiving. And so a doctor, however, can ask, would you like to try this new medication and be a part of this clinical trial or clinical trial study? This would then allow the doctor to know who is receiving the placebo and who is receiving the actual drug. And this can cause biases. So here's the question. Um, I think Caitlin was the last person. Natalie, there's a question for you.
Oh, you're so kind. Blank systematic research inquiries made without complete controls.
Anybody want to help?
So that's what we just talked about, not giving systematic is so that would be the quasi experiment.
You got it right.
Okay.
See there? And you was mad at me for picking you.
No, I'm never mad.
We just said makes you think. So these are words that you will see on the exam. Systematic research, you know. So become familiar with those words. All right. We have so quasi experimental research was the answer. And let's go into qualitative research. We talked about this is means it means it's correlation. There's emphasis on gathering data about naturally occurring phenomenals. And that's just in essence saying individuals and groups living in an experience, events overall. So when we are doing stuff, we in research, it's considered as a case study. And in a case study is history, something that occurred, and one would like to go back and view it. You have to view case studies. We should be doing case studies in our job. Freud's theory was based on Anna O. And Anna O is a woman being treated for hysteria, which is mania. And this was not his case, but it's where a lot of his theories came from after he finished studying Anna O. So that's something you need to know. And Caitlin, you got the next question.
Systematic investigations that include inductive, in-depth studies of individuals, groups, organizations, or communities focuses on the why and how of decision making to better understand human behavior. That is quantitative. Quantitative.
Other one.
Qualitative. Okay.
Yep. But you
Quality,
close.
quality, quality.
Quality. So what in that says quality?
Quality, it would be focus.
Mm-hmm.
Um, investigation. You want quality results or findings.
Mm-hmm. There you go. That's all. Y'all getting it. See, it's not hard. So let's talk about ethnography. D-
No.
Data is typically collected through observation and interviewing. Ethnicity. That should have been the first thing came up in your head. Ethnicity. So it's research from the view of ethnicity. Like an example, during COVID, some ethnicities were affected greater than others. So in the reality, people that had money probably was not affected as much as the population that's considered as poor. So ethno again is data is typically collected through observation and interviewing. So you're going to see things or you're going to ask questions of ethnicity groups to get information. It's research based. So the definition of a true single subject design, a lot of times when I'm meeting with my students in private practice, I'd be like, "What's AB? What's AB?" And this is so important when it comes to research. So a true single subject design is called AB. A is the baseline and B is the intervention. The baseline is you're not passing your exam. So the intervention is all of this test exam prep study. And then you want to see if the intervention is working. So you see if the intervention is working by taking the exam again. And you may not pass, but if your score went up, there's a possibility that the intervention is working. So this is what social workers do all the time. The first visit takes is the baseline. That's when a person comes to you and present their problem. A child is having issues in school is the example we'll use. So the intervention is the B. This is when you put something into place. Do we use CBT? What there are we going to use motivational interviewing? What are we going to put in place in order to try to change this child's behavior? And then you're going to go back and you're going to ask the teacher or you're going to ask the parents. Of course, you got to have permission to ask the teachers. But you're going to ask whomever. If you're a school social worker, you can go straight to the teacher and say, "Is little Jimmy getting any better?" And so this is used with clients, often not in an agency, but sometimes you can. So you have A, and then you have the B, and then the A is when you come back. So you have an AB, or you have an ABA, or you have an ABAB. Either way, you want to see if your intervention is working, and your B is the intervention. Questions, comments, concerns? Okay. Let's talk about longitudinal study or research. Long, Long, is right there in your face. It's something that happens a long period of time. It shows trends across time. Of course, if you're studying something for 2 years, you're going to start seeing a different trend. It's going to go straight, it's going to go up, it's going to go down, whatever. Every time something changes, you're going to document it. So you're going to compare participants or the studies across the time, the research that's normally conducted over an extended period of time. It could be up to 10 years, it could be longer than 10 years. And you're using the same subjects. Subjects is the same people, the same animals, the same kids, whatever. You're not gonna bring in Susie, Amy, and Jim, and then you take away Susie and replace her with somebody else. You're gonna Susie got to die out of this study. And so again, an example would be smoking studies. that show how smoking causes long-term effects. So that's how they found out that smoking, secondhand smoke, causes cancer. So it was a longitudinal study. And so, Gloria, you have a question.
Okay. Repeated testing of the same phenomenon for group of subjects over an extended period. Repeated testing of the same phenomenon of group of subjects over an extended period. Um, Cross, no. Um, Repeated testing of the same thing. Single subject design.
Anybody think it's single subject or anybody think it's something else?
Um, um, I don't know. Oh, longitudinal.
Mhm.
Okay.
Same phenomenal. Phenomenal means group,
Okay.
extended period, long time. Yep. So let's talk about cross-sectional research. Same time but different people. An example would be you go to Walmart at 5 o'clock p.m. Central Time every day, and you are going to see people. You know what? You're gonna go to Sam's Club because it's easy. Because Sam's Club don't let you bring bags in the store, or Costco. And so you go in these stores. You stand outside of Costco or Sam's Club at 5 p.m. Central Time every day to see what people are purchasing. And so you're going to say, oh, I see people purchasing diapers, bananas, a patio set, but it's the same time, different people. But you want the cross sectional is going to let you see what different people are getting at 5 o'clock every day. Trust me, if you go to Walmart at about 5:30, 6 o'clock, you will see people coming out with those rotisserie chicken meals. Ask me how I know. Because I go to Walmart at 5:30, and I see
Because
people coming out with those meals.
you know, because you might be one of them.
I'm one of them. Cross-sectional research. I'm part of it. It's that, and when school starts, you'll see poster boards, supplies. Just now you're gonna start paying attention. And I'm doing this for a reason so it can stick. And then you have the Hawthorne effect. We have 2 minutes. And that's when one behaves differently because he or she is being watched. It refers to the influence and performances which occurs when subjects receive attention. So that little boy Jimmy who was acting up in the classroom, when his parents come sit at the school, do you think Jimmy gonna do what he do with his parents? No, cause the Hawthorne effect. It's like a hawk. Hawthorne is watching you. So the other information you all will have access to, I have taught you how to read this even when I'm not around. A lot of it is just definitions. It is stuff. If you are LC, I strongly suggest you look at this. If you're not LC, I strongly suggest you look at it as well. I incorporated pictures. There's questions that I will send to you as well. And in essence, I just truly hope you got something out of tonight. Like I said, research is a little different compared because it's just really understanding and learning definitions. And this is the one time I say you can memorize this. So before we sign off, anyone with questions, comments, or concerns, we have 1 minute left. There is none. Natalie,
You did good.
thank you.
We did good.
We did. We did. Gloria, questions, comments, concerns?
Uh, no, I think I just need to review it when I'm in a quieter place. And when you send the video, I'm going to sit with my notebook and review it. It's just a matter of making it stick because this is a lot of, it's not I mean, it is recall. It's more of remembering the terms
Mhm.
where they fit. Um, but I enjoy when you have class because it makes me remember things a lot more. I feel so.
Thank you.
Thank you.
You're
I've been
Thank
welcome.
reaching out also to see if I could get some tutoring, but I haven't heard anything back. So I'll
About for
keep
me or for Dr. Pam?
for you or Dr. Pam, whoever is
Okay.
available.
Did you send a email to academic coaching?
Yes, I have. And I sent one to Dr. Pam, but
Okay.
I haven't heard. It's been like a week, but I know that she's busy. So,
Hmm.
and I
Um,
know you were on vacation. So.
yeah, I was out this week too. Send send it. Do you have my email address?
I should.
Okay. If you send it to me tonight, I will make sure admin get it. It could have been something that was missed.
Okay.
Mhm.
Okay, I'll do that. Thank you.
Caitlin, questions, comments, concerns? I know this is my first time meeting Caitlin, so yeah. But there's stuff out there. Remember, on YouTube, there's free questions. I do questions weekly, I believe. I don't know how they post them, but I do a one question, and I kind of do like this. I actually pretend like I be talking to somebody sometimes. So you can go look at those questions for free. I just try to do things that keep people engaged because I get it. After so long, you just be like, oh my God, they just reading. But remember, you are the key holder in this, and so we only can do so much. We put the intervention in place, but you actually have to utilize it. Now, I would say you probably won't see me again, but life be life, and my car broke down 6 times and my air went out. So if Dr. Pam called and say, "Girl, I need you," I probably be on a cruise. No, I'm lying, but that part, let me stop there. That was not a valid statement. Uh, but I probably would be working up into the cruise now because yo, if I don't know about anybody, but it seems like my air waits till it turns 90 degrees and then all of a sudden it stops working. But I hope you got something out tonight. Remember, I'm your country tutor from Memphis, Tennessee. I'm the person that did not pass my test the first, fifth, or 12th time. So it's up to you. You don't let not passing this test determine who you are. I just say you got to figure out what's preventing you from passing this test. Work on it. Caitlin, if you kick butt, I'm not going to say what you kick butt on because that's your personal story. But if you can kick butt on that, you can kick butt on anything. Um, and to each of you all, thanks for continuing to trust us here at Academic Coaching. And I see you when I see you, Natalie. I did respond back to you. You sent me a question, I sent you an answer. Gloria, send me that, and I make sure that I try to get you in, or either Dr. Pam, one of us will try to get you in on our schedule.
Wonderful. Thank you, Miss Sherry.
Y'all have a good
Bye
night.
bye.
Happy Sunday. Bye bye.
Bye bye.